How is everyone doing? Welcome back to another day in this challenge. We are focusing on stability and balance today. You won't need anything apart from your mat, nice space, and some fluids to stay hydrated. It's going to be a circuit style format, so we've got a selection of exercises that we're going to work through twice. We'll do 45 seconds worth of work with a 15-second water break. And then at the end of the first round, we'll take 30 seconds rest before heading right back into it again. So without further ado, let's test our balance today. So we're going to start in a seated position. Find a comfortable seated position that works for you. And we're going to take a nice stretch overhead and then set one hand down, anchor the hips and fold into your side bend, reaching over, opening the edge of the body. Take a breath in, circle both arms overhead and switch side on the exhale. So you gently want to keep that upper shoulder pulled back just to keep the chest open. And we're always looking for length and stability through the spine and control through the movement. So let's do one more on both sides. Really feel the openness through the rib cage. And then as we float both arms overhead, we're going to set one hand down on the outside of the thigh, other hand behind us, and we're looking over the back shoulder. Then as we inhale, sweep both arms overhead, and exhale, twist to the opposite side. So you're looking for length through the spine, stay up nice and tall, float the arms overhead, twist to the other side. I know in some classes that I teach, I usually see people leaning back into this twist, and I always encourage length through the spine, through the tailbone, right up to the crown of the head. So you're practicing good posture even through the warm-up section. Last, stretch and twist. And then inhale, we come back to center. And taking the hands beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips. Set the hips up and back, coming into a downward dog. And gently pedal through the feet, finding length through the back of the legs. Drawing the chest closer to the thighs on the mat. Keep the shoulders relaxed and away from the ears. So we're careful not to build up any tension through the neck. Find some stillness in your downward dog. With the inhale, roll forwards through the hips. Send the hips down to the mat, chest up for upward dog. Inhale, send the hips up and back for downward dog. As we transition through upward dog to downward dog, keep the shoulders relaxed and away from the ears. Stay connected with the breath. And let's do one more. We're going to finish in downward dog for this. So roll up through the spine, come into downward dog, and then send the left leg up and back. And gently draw the knee into the chin and set the foot down in between the hands. Float the back knee down. And we're opening the chest as we float our left arm up. Circle around overhead, and let's transition through plank, downward dog, and switch side. So we're going to alternate from left to right, continuing to build heat through the body, opening the chest and finding that articulation through the spine. One more time, coming back into plank. Downward dog. And we're going to walk the feet to hands, eyes to fingers, and then walk it up. Gently roll up through the spine. Roll the shoulders back. So we're nice and warm and ready to start off this workout. So for this, I'm going to use my timer to keep track of our rounds. First exercise is going to be a squat with a lat pull, and we're going to keep one heel elevated, so we're really working one side of our lower body. So for this, find your feet hip width apart, and we're going to gently lift one heel off of the ground, keeping the hips nice and level as we do. Quickly set the timer so we can get started. So with that set up, circle the hands overhead and then sink the hips back as you come into your squat. Draw the elbows down, squeezing into the lats. Extend through the arms as you rise up out of the squat. Take a nice breath in as you lower down. Exhale through pursed lips as you rise up. So the toes are down lightly for support as you sit back into the squat. The heel is slightly elevated off of the ground. Chest up, eyes front. Squeeze into the lats. My leg is shaking. Let's do one more. Big squeeze. Drive up. Reach overhead. We're keeping this box nice and straight. Spine nice and long. Switching side. Opposite heel off of the ground. Circle the arms overhead. And take a breath in as you sit down into your squat. And rise. Squeeze the shoulders as you reach through the fingertips. Stay connected with that breath and let the breath dictate the rhythm of your movement. You're trying to reach the arms up, overhead, and get those biceps, the upper arms, just outside of your ears. But if you don't have that mobility, that's okay. Work with where you're at. Let's finish off with one last squat. Drive up and set both heels down. Roll down to the ground. For shoulder bridge, we're going to take both feet into the buttocks, engage the core, lift one heel off of the ground, and then elevate the hips, squeezing through the glutes. We're rolling down halfway, and then lifting the hips, peeling the spine off of the ground. So you're still looking for that stability through the hips, but with one heel elevated, is a little less support on the floor, as we discovered during the squats. We're really focusing on keeping the core engaged. That's going to help with that stability. Squeeze through the back of the thighs and the glutes. Keep the heel up. Last one. Roll down and switch side. Get yourself ready in 3, 2, elevate heel and lift. Roll up through the spine, core engaged. Roll down halfway so the buttocks do not make contact with the ground. But as you lift, you're looking for that opening of the hips, that tension through the buttocks and the back of the thighs. Let's do 2 more to finish off. Stay with me. Last one. And roll down. Roll over onto your front. We're going into back extensions with a T. So because of space here, I'm going to have my hands in a W, but you're laying on your belly. Glue your feet together, thighs together, and down in the ground. Arms out by the side. Exhale, lift the head and chest off the ground, squeezing into your lats and your lower back. Slowly lower down to the ground. You're always keeping as much space between shoulders and the ears as possible. And for this, the higher you lift the chest, the deeper the back bend is, and you're really working into your lats as you draw the elbows down and your lower back. One more. Big squeeze as you lift and then control on the way down. Inhale, come up. We're going to take the hands beneath the shoulders, coming into a plank. Set the feet hip width apart. Squeeze the glutes to keep the hips down. Slowly draw the elbow back and set it down to the ground. This is about stability. So the slower you move, the more your core has to work. Keep the hips stable. Option to float the knees down to the ground so you can keep the hips and the shoulders stable so you're not twisting through the spine. And as you draw the elbows back, you're squeezing your upper back, pinching those shoulder blades. One more on each arm. And then rest. Set yourself back. Next exercise coming up. Slow mountain climber. So full plank position. Feet hip width apart. And we're drawing the knee to chin. And then setting the foot back down. Nice and slow. Pulling the belly button up into the spine. That's going to create that space between your abdomen and the ground. And as you push through the arms, you're creating that space between the chest and the ground. Keep that control, stay connected with the breath, and try not to overarch the back as you draw the knees in. One more on each leg. Finishing off in a full plank. Float the knees down and shake out the hands. Come onto a seated position. Set the feet down, nice and long through the spine. Take the arms out to the side, twist over to one side, and then back to center. So constantly reaching through the arms, relax through the shoulders. You're twisting into your obliques as you send the arms onto the outside of the thighs. Feel the fire in your belly. The abs are working here. Keep the feet grounded. Weight shifted onto the tailbone. And you're twisting through the torso. Arms are following. Come back to center. Roll up. Take a rest. We're back on our feet for round 2. You have about 20 seconds. Sip some water, catch your breath. And then we're going back into our squats. So find your position on your mat. So go back into squat reach. Feet hip width apart. Elevate the heel. Float the arms overhead. Sit back into your squat. Draw the elbows down. Big stretch overhead. So remember, stay connected with that breath. Breathe out through pursed lips on the way up. As you stretch the arms overhead, squeeze the back of the arms. Keep the chest up. And the hips level. One more squat to finish off. Float the arms down, roll the shoulders out, changing side. So find your stance, ready for your squat, elevate the heel, and then sit back into your squat on the inhale. On the exhale, rise out of the squat, squeeze through the glutes and tops of the thighs. Stretch, working into your upper shoulders. Stay with it. This is about stability, not how fast you could go and how many reps you can do. It's about keeping the shoulders, the hips stable, staying connected with the breath. Last one. Finish off, float the arms down, and let's come down onto the ground for shoulder bridge. Engage your core. Elevate the heel, feet hip width apart, set the hands down and lift. Squeezing through the glutes, come halfway down. Tailbone stays off the ground and lift. Relax through the throat, relax through the shoulders, stable through the hips. Last one. And rolling all the way down and prepare to change side. Exhale as you lift through the hips, big squeeze. Maintain that control on the way back down, and on the way up, feel each section of the spine, reconnect with the mat, and then peel off of the ground as you push through the legs, squeezing the glutes. Two more. Last one. All the way up, open the hips, big squeeze, and roll all the way down. Grab behind the thighs. We're rolling onto our belly. And we're coming back into our back extension. So setting the hands down, either side of the shoulders, forehead on the mat. Glue the thighs together, tops of the legs into the ground. Exhale to lift. Draw the shoulders and elbows away from the ears. Squeezing into your upper back as you lift, chest off the ground. Squeeze the thighs together. Push the tops of your feet down into the ground. Two more extensions. Last one. Make it count. Slowly roll down. Take a nice breath in. We're going back into our plank, elbow pull. So knees down, just beyond the hips, hands beneath the shoulders. Engage the core. Draw the elbows back, squeezing the shoulder blades. So option here to come into a full plank for your elbow pull. Keep the shoulders as stable as possible and the hips so you avoid twisting through the spine. Squeeze the glutes. That's going to help keep the hips down. Last one to finish off. Set the knees down. Take a deep breath in. 10 seconds, and we're going into our slow climbers. Get yourself ready. Back into plank, hip width apart. Squeeze the glutes, draw the knees into chin. Draw the knee into chin. So what you're focusing on is that squeeze of lower abs as you pull the knee to chin. Now your knee's not going to touch your chin, but the idea is that you create that tension through the effort. One more on each leg to finish off. Keep it going. Set the knees down. Take a rest. Transition onto your onto your bum. We're coming back into boat pose. For twists, extend the arms and rotate through the torso. Bring the arms on the outside of the thighs. And for additional challenge, you can take one leg into tabletop, or you can take both. If you take both, then squeeze the thighs together. Find that length through the spine. And stay with me. Final 10 seconds. One final twist. Come back to center. Set the feet down. And then transition onto your belly. So let's stretch out the front of our body. Set the forehead down on the ground. Forearms either side of your shoulders. And as you exhale, roll up through the head and the chest, stretching out the abs, opening the chest, draw the shoulders away from the ears. Find some semblance of a normal breathing pattern. With the breath in, roll down through the spine. Set the hands either side of your chest and then push up into tabletop. Knees together. Toes together, knees wider than the hips. And I want you to shift your hips back slightly. And then we're taking one hand and threading the needle through, resting the back of the arm on the ground along with your shoulder and head. Hips stay centered. Looking for a twisting sensation through the mid-spine. And by keeping your hips centered, one, you're still practicing good posture, but two, it also means that the stretch is happening in the portion of the spine that is intended, which is that mid-thoracic region. Inhale, come back onto all fours. And exhale, let's take it onto the other side. And with the next breath in, come onto all fours. Set the hips back to your heels. Walk the hands forwards. Rest your forehead on the ground. And lift the palms off of the ground. Gently walking the fingertips to the top of your mat as we stretch out the edge of the body. Take the breath deep into the base of the ribs. Expand the belly.
And let it stretch out the lower back. With the next breath out, set the palms down on the ground. Gently walk the hands back to your hips
to finish off. Beautiful work. Well done. Finding your stability, really focusing on that core engagement throughout the entirety of this practice. That's the focus and that's the aim. I will see you for the following challenge, day 12. But until then, stay blessed. Be at peace.